Happy holidays and welcome to another episode of Jets Class. We're so excited that you're spending a portion of your holiday season here with us, and we have an absolutely jam-packed show for you. The Jets, unfortunately, followed that victory over the Jaguars with a loss to the Rams. The offense that looked so good against the Jaguars did not look so good against the Rams. You kind of saw this coming, didn't you? But let's get it started anyway. Keeping the positivity going here with the takeoff and why the Jets need to get the ball to Garrett Wilson more than they have been. I understand where Garrett Wilson ranks this year in targets. That's going to be the number one thing that people send me when they hear this argument. My counter, what are the quality of those targets? How many of them are dump-offs? How many of them are little meaningless hitches? How many of those are screens? Where are the plays designed to make Garrett Wilson the focal point of this offense? Ever since Davante Adams arrived via trade, Wilson has been the complement in the passing game. It's clear that with Aaron Rodgers, Adams is his guy. He's the go-to, he's the X, and then they will get to Garrett Wilson when time permits. That should not be the case. Garrett Wilson is your ascending star. Garrett Wilson is the most explosive player on this offense. Garrett Wilson is the player who has the ability to take any ball all the way to the end zone to break a game wide open. So start giving him those opportunities. Make him the go-to guy. Make him the X. Make him the player that you need to feed the ball because you know that's going to lead to the most offensive success. It is time now for 4 Downs, and it is presented by Mammoth University. Explore further at mammoth.edu/amplified. It's 4 topics on the Jets, my thoughts on those topics, and it starts right now with first down. You know what? Let's stick with Garrett Wilson, because I think one of the reasons why he and Aaron Rodgers seem to have a little bit of a chasm between them is just because there's a difference between the way that Garrett Wilson plays and the way he wants to play and the way that Aaron Rodgers wants Garrett Wilson to play. When you think about some of the best games that Garrett Wilson has had throughout his career, I think about the Chicago Bear game. I think about his breakout game against the Browns. I think about the Minnesota Viking game. Those games were quarterbacked by Joe Flacco, and those games were quarterbacked by Mike White. So what were Flacco and White doing that Aaron Rodgers is not? So I actually caught up with Mike White, and I asked him, and what he told me was that going into a game every single week, during the game, before plays, he would ask Wilson, what are you trying to accomplish? Because Garrett Wilson's superpower, it is improvisation. It's his ability to find ways to get open once he's given an area on the field to try to get open in. That's not how Aaron Rodgers plays. Aaron Rodgers wants a 7 3/4 yard in route to be broken in at 7 3/4 yards. Not 7, not 8, the exact inch on the field. He's that kind of a technician, but that's just not how Garrett Wilson plays. And during their tenure together, it almost feels like Aaron has tried to make Garrett Wilson something that he is not, and that just hasn't really worked. So yeah, we've seen some impressive moments between the two, but we haven't seen that breakout like we expected to. And unfortunately, I think it's just because the two guys just aren't on the same page. The Jets have an Aaron Rodgers conundrum. Do they want to keep him in 2025 or do they want to let him go in 2025? And the biggest concern with this conundrum is that there's no clear-cut answer. Off the field, you know that you're getting a lot that comes with Rodgers. You're getting the weekly appearances on Pat McAfee. You're getting someone who is very opinionated, someone who wants things done a certain way, someone who has clashed with specific players and someone who's clashed with specific coaches. But on the field, you're still getting a quarterback that even in this down year is piecing together one of the 5 best to ever take place in a single season in Jets quarterbacking franchise history. So yeah, the Jets might want to move on from Rodgers for all those reasons I just said, but are you able to replace the production on the field? Is a drop in production on the field worth it if you're not getting some of the other things that come with Rodgers? That's a debate that Woody Johnson is going to have. That's an internal debate that the next head coach and general manager are going to have. And unfortunately, there really is no clear-cut answer as to what's right and what's wrong. Well, the Jets' search for their next general manager and head coach is underway. You've seen them interview several candidates for that GM vacancy. They're going to interview several more in the coming weeks. They will start talking to people who are currently employed by NFL teams. once timing permits to do so. When the dust settles, and that isn't happening anytime soon, I do believe that the best thing that the Jets can do with both of these positions is hire people who have held these positions before. It is very, very hard to be a first-time general manager or first-time head coach in New York. This is a market that where every single one of your moves is overanalyzed by so many different people that if you've never done it before, if you're learning on the job, you can kind of lose yourself in that situation. John Idzik, he was a first-time GM, so was McCagnon, so was Joe Douglas. Also first-time head coaches the Jets have had as well, whether it was Todd Bowles or Robert Saleh. Adam Gase obviously had experience with the Miami Dolphins. But the best thing that the Jets can do here, get people who have done this job before, because I do believe it will help them in the long term. The million-dollar question facing the Jets is, if not Rodgers, then who? And I genuinely believe that the best person that they can turn to if they choose to move on from Aaron is Tyrod Taylor, who's under contract for 2025. Taylor is your quintessential bridge quarterback. He's someone who teammates absolutely love. He's someone who can hold down the fort of an offense. He's someone who will electrify fans with his legs and his ability to take deep shot after deep shot after deep shot. And oh, by the way, he can still play. He's not perfect. There are absolutely durability concerns. He holds the ball far too long, which highlights and brings into the light those injury concerns, but he's somebody that the Jets can rely on. And if this is a bridge year, if this is a let's get our stuff together before we really try to make a run in 2026, honestly, I still think Tyrod Taylor could get the Jets to the playoffs next year. I'm sick, I'm tired, it's cold, and it's rainy. The doctor said the best way to get me better is to eliminate the stress and just let my body fight this whole thing off. But I still have a Jets show to record, and because we don't take breaks because of whatever the Jets record happens to look like, or the fact they'll miss the playoffs for the 14th consecutive year, or because they blew what might have been their best chance at a Super Bowl this season in what feels like basically forever, yeah, I don't know. This stress, it's just absolutely overcoming me. Quick, show me something that's going to make me happy. Yeah, that's better. A beautiful golf course on a warm summer, spring day. Hell, I'll even play golf when it's cold. It doesn't matter. How perfect does all of that look? It actually reminds me, Jets golf, I actually played around with Robert Saleh a few rounds, actually. The guy's a really, really good player. I mean, well, former head coach Robert Saleh, which actually now has me wondering if this season would have turned out any different had the Jets kept him instead of Jeff Ulbrich, because now Jeff Ulbrich is having to volley between head coach and defensive coordinator. It's just been a total and complete disaster. Here we go, heart's racing again. I need something else here. Brookie, yes. Oh, there it is. There it is. She's so perfect. I mean, this whole journey that we've been on together, seeing her grow and evolve so much over these last 19 months, it has been so remarkable just to see the change and the evolving of a little kid from where she was to where she is now, which actually reminds me of the evolving that the Jets were supposed to be or do as a team, the rebuild that they were supposed to be completing, but now they're kind of restarting because they already fired their GM, so they're looking for a new one of him. They already fired their head coach. They're going to fire their interim head coach, so they've got to get a new coach. They're probably going to need a new quarterback as well. The only problem is that there really isn't a good quarterback class. There isn't anyone in free agency because Sam Darnold's not coming here. They're not going to trade for one. So I guess they're going to run it back with Tyrod Taylor. Is that something Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall are even going to want to be involved in? I certainly don't think so. They might request a trade. Is this going to be even worse next year than it is this year? Is that even possible? All right, come on, Connor. Stop. Come on. We're not supposed to do this. Happy thoughts. We're supposed to be thinking happy thoughts. Aw, look at that little kitty. And that one's got a hat. That's so adorable. It almost makes you forget how many one-possession games the Jets have lost this year, or how Aaron Rodgers' Achilles tear probably really did derail this whole thing, meaning that the Jets' best hopes ended 4 snaps into the season last year, or how I've been doing this since 2014, and I've only actually covered 1 winning season and they didn't even make the playoffs that season. In fact, it ended in horrific fashion when they lost to Buffalo in the finale, and Rex Ryan, who now everybody wants back as the head coach, despite the fact Rex Ryan was a disaster as a head coach every single year after his second year as a head coach. You know what? I'm just gonna be honest. This is pointless. I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm done. Thank you guys so much for joining this episode of Jets Class. We hope you spend the rest of the week with your family, enjoying this holiday season with your loved ones. If you do want to watch other episodes of Jets Class with those loved ones, which you should, you can across SNY's digital platforms. That is Facebook, that is X, that is SNY.TV, and that is YouTube. If you're going to watch on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to SNY's channel and then give those Jets Class videos a little like. If you want more of Jets coverage from SNY, you can find it with Jets Pregame Live coming your way before the Jets take on the Bills at 12 o'clock on SNY. That's 12 o'clock SNY Jets Pregame Live before the Jets take on the Bills at 1 p.m.